Welcome to The Explainer. So, have you ever been there? You're lying in bed, completely exhausted, but your mind is just going. It's running a full-on marathon of worries, to-do lists, and yeah, even that super embarrassing thing you did back in middle school. Well, if that's you, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to get into why your brain just refuses to switch off when all you want to do is sleep.
All right, let's just start with the big question. The one so many of us have asked ourselves in the middle of the night. Why? Why is it that the moment you finally get a chance to rest, your brain decides it's the perfect time to open up every single file, every tab, and every pop-up ad it's been storing away all day?
You know, the answer is actually surprisingly simple, and it has almost nothing to do with nighttime itself. It's this. Your brain literally doesn't trust you anymore. It has learned from experience that if it doesn't grab your attention when you're a captive audience, staring at the ceiling in bed, it might never get the chance to do its most important work.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we're going to unpack the why behind those racing thoughts. We're calling it the Midnight System Update. Then we'll get into a two-part toolkit, some super simple daytime habits to keep this from happening in the first place, and then some in-the-moment techniques for when it strikes anyway.
Okay, let's dive right into part one. To really solve this thing, we have to understand what is actually going on under the hood when your brain decides that 3 in the morning is the ideal time to hold a company-wide meeting.
It all starts with something we can call the distraction trap. I mean, think about your typical day. When you're waiting in line for coffee, walking down the street, even sitting on the toilet, what are you doing? For most of us, we're on our phones. We fill every single crack of downtime, leaving our brain with literally zero opportunity to do its essential background processing.
And what this does is it creates a situation kind of like those software updates on your computer. All day long, your brain is sending you these little pop-ups like, hey, we should probably think about that weird email from your boss. And all day long, what do? We click, remind me later. So eventually, your brain just goes, nope, we're done waiting, and it forces the update on you the second you go offline for the night.
So this is the most important thing to get. Your racing thoughts are not a bug, they're a feature. Your brain isn't broken. It's actually doing its job perfectly. That moment you lie down and finally take away all the stimulation, that's literally the first quiet moment it's had all day to sort through everything. It's just seizing its one and only opportunity.
All right, so now that we know the why, let's talk about the solution. And as you've probably figured out, the most effective fix starts long before your head even hits the pillow. It's time for some daytime brain housekeeping. Okay, first up is a technique called scheduled worry. Now, I know it sounds completely backward, right? Why would you schedule time to worry? But trust me, this is brilliant. You just pick a time and a place. Say your desk at 6 p.m. You set a timer for 15 minutes, and you just let your brain go wild. You actively think through all the concerns. But when that timer goes off, you stop. This simple routine is incredible because it trains your brain. It teaches it to trust that you will make time for these thoughts so it doesn't need to ambush you at night. Another fantastic tool is the brain dump. Sometime before you start winding down, just grab a piece of paper and write down everything, and I mean everything, that's bouncing around up there. Getting it out of your head and onto the page is like plugging in an external hard drive. It sends a clear signal to your brain that says, hey, this stuff is captured. It's safe. You can let it go for now.
But hey, let's be real. Even with the best daytime habits, sometimes that worry train is just going to leave the station at midnight. So what do you do right then and there when you're lying in the dark and that anxiety cycle starts to spin up? This slide right here gets to the absolute core of the issue. Our gut instinct is to fight the thoughts. But if I tell you right now, whatever you do, don't think about a pink elephant. What's the only thing you can think about? A pink elephant, right? The struggle is what gives the thought its power. The key is to just notice it without judgment, like watching clouds pass by. Oh, there's that worry about work again. Just acknowledging it takes away the struggle and, weirdly enough, allows it to just drift on by.
So instead of fighting, we can just gently redirect our attention. And the goal here isn't to find something super exciting, but something just interesting enough to give your mind a place to rest. You know, a kind of dull history audiobook is perfect for this. It holds your attention, but it doesn't get you all riled up. A gratitude list is also amazing because it flips your brain's script from scarcity and fear to abundance and safety.
And for a super fast way to interrupt a thought loop, try this. It's called eyeball stillness, and it's surprisingly powerful. It's based on this idea that your brain actually uses tiny, rapid eye movements to fuel its thought process. So by just deciding to keep your eyes still, even in the dark with them closed, you can kind of jam the gears of that anxiety engine. It pauses the loop,
and gives your mind a little moment of rest. Now, if you want to directly calm your physical body down, you can use what neuroscientists call the physiological sigh. This is the fastest known way to tell your body to relax. It's super simple. You take a deep inhale through your nose, and then when you think you're full, you take a second, shorter sip of air right at the top. That little extra breath fully inflates your lungs. Then just a long, slow, full exhale through your mouth. Doing that just once or twice rapidly offloads carbon dioxide and sends a powerful, all-clear signal to your nervous system.
This one is just brilliant for pulling you out of your head and back into your body. See, anxiety almost always lives in the future, in all the what-ifs. But your senses, they're always right here, in the present moment. So you just slowly, intentionally, name 5 things you can see, even if it's just shadows in the room. Then 4 things you can feel, the texture of your sheets, the cool air. 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and finally 1 emotion you can name. It yanks your awareness out of that anxious story and grounds it in the physical reality of the room you're in.
So here's what it all boils down to. A quiet mind at night is earned during the day. It's not about finding some magic button to shut your brain off. It's about rebuilding that trust. It's about giving your brain the time and space it needs to do its housekeeping on a proper schedule, long before you ever turn out the lights.